Hey guys, this is your girl Tara with Coaching for Life. And my video today focuses on the topic of downloads. So when I'm speaking about downloads, I'm not talking about things that we're downloading off of the internet, but rather I'm speaking about universal downloads. And in particular, things that kind of filter into our field or into our mind, into our heart, into our head space or our thought space, and something that we're inspired to do, maybe because of that thought, something that we feel motivated about because of that thought. Um, Maybe it's a new goal or a new idea about how to view or see something because of that thought. And there's a lot of different ways that people receive downloads. I was just going to talk a little bit today about the way that I've personally experienced them really kind of throughout my life. Everybody's different. Some people will get to a place where they start to have these muses or these inspirations or these thoughts that almost feel like they're kind of appearing out of nowhere or from the universe after they start a process where they're able to kind of clear their heart and mind and kind of get centered with their higher self. And sometimes they're doing meditation, or maybe they're just kind of going into the practice of being in the now or being mindful. Maybe some people have utilized maybe plant medicine or something that has activated that awareness inside of them and that connection such that those downloads can happen. No matter which way you come into this state of being able to receive information from source, from the universe, it's a wonderful thing because it can be very inspiring and it can create a new spark of energy inside of you. Myself, personally, even as a small child, I remember that somewhere between the stage of sleep and consciousness, I would have a download or information kind of just appearing into my mental space regarding music, because that's one of my key areas where I create, is that I'm a vocalist and that I write songs and I arrange. So even from a very early age, I would have like a entire chorus or a hook or something kind of coming into my mind while I was resting just before I woke up. And there was a time period in there after I woke up where I need to like write it down or make a note about it such that it didn't just completely disappear or I didn't forget about it. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean everybody's downloads happen that way. And you might even say to me, well, Tara, if you're forgetting about it, more than likely it was just a dream. But downloads feel different. A dream is something that doesn't feel at all times lucid. Some people lucid dream, but a lot of people tend to have dreams where they're not feeling like they're fully in control. And keep in mind, this is going back to a time period when I was very young, like before the age of 12. So at that time period, I did not know how to lucid dream. So there was definitely a difference between the dreams that I would have that were kind of subconscious based versus the downloads or the information, which almost felt like somebody sharing something with me. And then me waking up and remembering or hearing like an entire song or an entire verse or a hook or words and writing it down almost as if somebody had told me something and then I wrote it down on paper. So that was kind of the difference for me with the whole process of downloads versus dreaming. So I just wanted to make that differentiation, because when we're talking about things that are happening when we're not fully cognizant or conscious, it would be very easy to kind of get that confused with being in a dream state or in REM sleep. This is not to say that a download could not happen when you are in REM sleep. I am not a scientist or a doctor of sleep. So I'm not even sure that I wasn't in REM sleep when these downloads were occurring. The point is the way that it feels and really what it does for you after you have that experience. Are you inspired or feeling higher vibration about maybe taking on a new project, or maybe a part of your creativity that you tap into, that these downloads assist you with that? Usually a download will be something that gives you information that either you didn't have before, or clarification on something, or maybe it's a topic you never even thought about at all. And boom, here's this information coming in, and you're going, wow, it's like you went to class, but you were sleeping. So that's really kind of more what I'm talking about. Now, moving forward from, before age 12 and moving forward, I would have those downloads either coming to me when I was taking a nap, or when I was in between that state of sleep and consciousness. Once again, this is not to say that a download can't happen when you're fully conscious, or when you're in the middle of doing something that's inspiring to you or connective universally, that information doesn't just flow to you during those time periods. I'm sure it does, because I've experienced that myself. But in particular, the downloads for me that were the most powerful and shared the most information with me and really tuned in and tapped into that creativity for me were the ones that I had when I was between sleep and consciousness. Just recently, I had one where the download or the information was really sharing information with me about the concept of time, and really the human viewpoint of time, and but really what that construct looks like, stepping outside of it. Something I never really thought about. It's not the way that I write. I usually see or envision things in stanzas or verses, because I'm a songwriter. But in this case, it kind of came to me in a paragraph format. It felt very much like I was in a class. And when I woke up, the information was still there, just spinning around, just like if it was a song or something like that. And I was like, oh man, I got to go and write these lyrics down really quick before I forget. But it never really goes fully away. It just kind of lingers until I write it down. And then anytime I go back and look at it, it strikes a chord and I can remember the melody. Well, this one was a little different because this one was information on a concept that was a little more advanced, and it was not something that, at least I'm aware of, was knowledge that I was currently rolling around or possessing. It's possible that it was, but if it was, it certainly wasn't in this format. So after I awakened from, sleep or rest, whatever state I was in, I wrote the information down, and even wrote down, like, there was a little kind of like a drawing or a picture or a graph to help me to better understand what it was I was looking at. And so I wrote that down as well too, and looked back at it and said, wow, this is really cool information. I don't know how I knew it, but I just assumed it was a download. So when I'm speaking about downloads, that's what I'm speaking about. Have you ever had an experience that's similar to that, where you were doing an activity or resting or doing something that was really connective or healing for the body, and all of a sudden you had this inspiration or this thought come to you that you had not thought about before? You may have experienced a universal download. So if you have, a couple of tips on what at least I do when I experience them, because like I said, I've been experiencing them for many, many years. Um, just if you're sleeping and you have the download and you awaken, just keep a notepad and a pen or pencil close to your bedside, and just write down what you remember. Don't try to think about it too hard. Just let it flow to you in the natural form that it's in and write it down. Who knows where that information may not come into play later in your day, your week, or just at some time in your life. Or maybe it's just information that you're gaining clarity on. Either way, make sure to take the time before you begin your day or before you begin the next step of your day to write that information down so that way you can have that process or that information, that inspiration, and you don't kind of let that memory fade out over time because you never wrote it down. Now, for some people, a download may come and it may never go away. It may just stick with you and you may not need to write it down. So if you're one of those people, no worries, you're set. But I am not one of those people. I have so many thoughts and things going through my head. I like to write everything down so that way I can remember, precisely in the format that it was given to me, how to look at the situation, whether it's a new thought or especially if it's music or something that has to do with that level of creativity. So this was just a little thought on downloads today. After you see this video, I would love for you to leave comments below. Is this something that you've experienced? And, let us know how you think, how you feel about that experience, if you have experienced it, and what processes you use in writing down that information or in your life utilizing those downloads. What do you do with that information after you receive it? I'm curious to know. For me, I keep that notebook with me, and if something pops up in my day-to-day life that I remember, something pings and I'm like, wow, that reminds me of that download I had, then what I'll do is I will go back to that notebook and I'll open it back up again and I'll read that download in relation to whatever it is I'm currently dealing with. So that's a really nice way to use that information because, it relates to something that's happening right now in the present in your life. It's very cool. So just a thought for you today. Please leave comments below. Let us know what you think about this topic and if you've experienced it and what you do with those downloads. Once again, this is your girl Tara with Coaching for Life. Always wonderful to be here with you. Namaste. Hope it's sunny wherever you are. And I look forward to being with you in the next video.